Hi there. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Masih Tahiri and I'm with Toffler Associates. And over the past few years in my capacity at Toffler Associates, I've had the opportunity to operate within two worlds, cyber and space. And one of many things I've found and learned and assessed is that these two worlds are increasingly becoming one. Integrated, interconnected, and interdependent. What does this mean for you? What does it mean for me? Well, it has tremendous business opportunity for the InfoSec, my InfoSec friends. By that, I'm also saying there's a lot of risk, and we're not paying attention to it enough, neither in the InfoSec community nor in the space industry. So, let me start by setting this all up. Short scenario. It's April 19, 2021, and you wake up. You wake up to find that every technology that we take for granted today, our mobile phone, nothing works. Everything's gone dark. No internet, no smartphone, no weather forecast to know what to wear. Nothing. Flight delays, the air traffic management systems in shambles. And for our military men and women, they're operating in the dark with no intelligence, no precision guide anything, and no global communication. This is likely how we'll feel. Frustrated, scared. This scenario can play out by targeting our space-based infrastructure. This can have truly catastrophic impact for you and I. That's right. Those satellites floating up in space, anywhere between 100 miles above the atmosphere through 22,000 plus miles above, LEO, GEO, MEO in space geek parlance, are essentially servers in orbit. Why should we be worried? Well, let's answer this question by understanding and taking a glimpse into what's going on in space, more the business side, economic side. There's a tremendous amount of investment, tech innovation, construction, operationalization in space, particularly in low Earth orbit. Not only startups, industrial-based prime contractors, but also it's becoming increasingly global by nature, so international competition and investment as well. Over the last 6+ decades, essentially what has become is called the Internet of Space, what's been created. It started out with these hardware floating up in space, providing precise information, evolved into machine-to-machine communication, point-to-point, and now what we're seeing is essentially IoT devices in orbit. What does this mean? It's proliferating, and these applications have provided essentially galvanized a digital transformation within space. Same words that we use in InfoSec, digital transformation, enterprise risk, what have you, happening in low Earth orbit. This has created, in 2017, this number is $330 billion industry. And Morgan Stanley, believe it or not, has actually mapped this industry out, projected it to hit $1.1 trillion by 2040. Just think about that. IoT proliferation in space. This essentially is building a foundation, space infrastructure, the Internet of Space, as I mentioned. It's essentially an orbiting app store. We're using the satellite APIs, and whether you're oil, gas, finance, telecom, construction, essentially utilizing the data, downlink, uplink, and using it and applying it for your business insights, driving digital transformation. These commercial players are focused on increasing access to space so you and I can enjoy how we chat, how we drive, how we fly, stream Netflix or Amazon Go, send money using Venmo, Zelle, and of course, mining crypto. And so we've become very dependent on it. Let's take a look at, what are these space systems that I'm referring to and that we each benefit from? As you can see, we got these major space systems. GPS, think about positioning, navigation, timing, maritime, the finance, the GPS atomic clock, the time stamp on all of our financial transactions. It's critical. Our military uses GPS. I use GPS coming here via Uber. Communication, this is your basic communication technology. Mobile to mobile is the best example. Weather, whether it's disaster recovery, disaster planning, climate insights, or even just what to wear. Satellites are used, Earth observation satellites. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the military. For intel, surveillance, recon, early missile detection warning, as well. So given all that, what's happened in space, what are the cyber risks? And of course, the physical risks, which is important as well. Well, there are obviously kinetic and non-kinetic risks within our space infrastructure that have impact with us, to us here on Earth. Of course, we got the jamming, manipulation, eavesdropping, espionage, and of course the physical aspect of it. What's interesting is the satellites right now, how they communicate with their ground station terminals is through signals, radio frequency. And as a matter of fact, increasingly, as I mentioned, the new space, the investment in certain rocket launchers, whatnot, they're increasingly using Wi-Fi as well to communicate not only within the rocket, but also from the ground up. Just imagine interference with that, what that can create, and our reliance with that. Manipulation, too many cases of folks buying, whether it's a hacktivist group, a rogue nation state, having that capability, the technology, to purchase, whether it's from Radio Shack, these jammers, or whatever equipment it is, to take control of the servers, manipulate, project their own images and whatnot, and essentially defacement as well. The physical aspect of it, which was interesting, given that this is a cyber and physical risk discussion, is the fact that, listen, it's global in nature, the space industry. It's becoming increasingly competitive, contested, and congested. And what's happening is it's essentially leveling the playing field. And so, as we know about North Korea, China, Russia, they're increasingly experiencing and experimenting with anti-satellite missiles, essentially these rockets that can go ahead and knock out a satellite. Just imagine knocking out a satellite that you and I use to communicate, to drive, to fly, to watch, and even using the utilities as well. Another piece, which it's not written on here, a cyber physical risk, essentially is, let's take a look at the ancillary endpoints and networks. NASA, for example, a few years ago, there was a Romanian hacker actually penetrated their corporate network and obtained data that was extracted from satellites. That was a one-off hacktivist type attack, but that just put things in perspective for you. And of course, these satellite components, these rocket launch components, they have an entire supply chain as well. There's always the potential for counterfeit, backdoor, whatever have you. So these are some of the cyber and physical risks that we're talking about. And of course the impacts, I mean, you know it with the scenario we started out with. We won't be able to use our mobile phones. The satellite communication will be down and offline. Our men and women serving in the war theater, they'll be completely blind, back to the industrial age. Won't be able to see where the enemy is. Our finance, I won't be able to go to bank. You won't be able to go to bank. If you were, it wouldn't work. Internet communication, the protocols, the packet, the timestamps will be impacted. We'll have slow or no internet. Think about this from an individual and corporate point of view. What a great fire this would be. A true leadership dilemma. It begs the question, are you prepared for this? Do you have a response plan, a recovery plan? Do you think your enterprise and workforce are resilient enough to withstand or at least have some level of redundancy to deal with a day without space? So the question is, what should we do? There are a whole host of things that we can do. But I would urge and recommend that understanding the interdependencies is critical. Not admiring the problem too much, rather really understanding, and particularly for the InfoSec community here, hey, where are we really integrated and interdependent with space-based infrastructure? Second, I really do see and really hope there's cross-collaboration within the industry. I think too often we operate in silos, within and across industries. And as we talk about IoT proliferation, IoT security, machine-to-machine, it behooves us to understand Internet of Everything truly means Internet of Everything, encompassing the globe, and of course in low Earth orbit and in space. So really encouraging, engaging in space industry events and vice versa. Certainly an opportunity for that. And then thirdly, which is a bit more practical, is really incorporating this sort of resiliency planning, enterprise risk strategy planning, scenario planning, a day without space, after understanding how it impacts your supply chain, your operations, and really thinking through, hey, what would we do as an organization? how would my people, my workforce, my stakeholders, my consumers be impacted, and what can I do as an organization, as an enterprise, to really reduce the impact? It'll be pretty bad, but if we have the proper planning and have practiced it, not only written on paper, but practiced it over and over again, there just may be some hope. And so, I close with, first off, space is becoming more integrated, as a matter of fact, is integrated with what you and I do. Secondly, keep an eye out for it, understand it, and thirdly, just keep a broad view of what's going on, and I think we'll be off to a pretty good time. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day.